crazy? I feel like I'm a new person because this Jazmin that is coming here and talking to you guys about this is not the same Jazmin like 3 years ago. I would have never made this video. I would have never even thought to make this video before the person, because in my head I wasn't thinking about before the person. I was thinking about like, oh my gosh, like how he's gonna look, how is he gonna be, is he gonna be cute, like where are gonna be our dates like. So with that said, I just want to talk about some benefits that I experienced of a single season. What helped me learn about these benefits was YouTube. Honestly, I would look at Christian testimonies of girls who, like I said, they're with someone now, they were married or whatever then, but they talked about their single season before that, and all of them kind of have a similar story where they go through a very toxic or bad relationship, and that brought them to the lowest of lows, and God was their only option, and so they just took it. And it wasn't like they picked it up and was like great, they kind of took it and was like, oh, so this exists as like an alternative, and they kind of just embraced it. And they talk about what that decision led to in their life. So this one girl, she said she had just gotten off a relationship and she was traveling like a road trip somewhere. I think she was doing music or something like that, and she said she just began to just fall in love with God. She was like, at first, and I related to what she said, she was like, at first when she really realized that she kind of had to learn who God was, receive his love, and also kind of allow him to heal her, she wasn't too excited. She just was like, oh my gosh, how long is this gonna take? Like, am I gonna get a husband after this? And when she said that, I was like, that's mine, like that's me. That's what I think of when someone tells me, oh, just get healed first, just allow God in, you know, let him make you whole. My first questions are like, oh my gosh, like how long is this gonna take, like what is gonna happen? But honestly, she said she's so glad that he did that, because she mentioned one thing, and she would say when she's having a bad day, she remembered that she would be driving and she will look at the sky, and it would be the sky will be painted her favorite colors, like that very nice orange pink kind of sunset scenery, and she would think to herself, wow, she felt as though it was God's gift to her. Like it was just that kind of intimate, serene moment where God was just like, this is me loving you, like this is me encouraging you on a very bad day. And she felt encouraged and she felt loved. And what's so beautiful about that testimony is the fact that there was no external factor. It was just her and God. There was no man to validate her. There was no man to encourage her. There was no man to do what only God can do. And it's not that men or people can't do those things. It's just that one thing that I thought to find love was if you could look at this person and say, you're my everything. I thought that was how you knew that you really loved them. I used to think that a God-centered relationship was boring, that it was like rules-based and very like religious, and I kind of used to be turned off by it. Like, no, I prefer the Notebook kind, I prefer the passionate kind, I prefer the kind where you fight one day and then you go back that night and you make up, and then it's like this all great thing. So the first thing is, I'm looking down at my notes, you become healed and whole. Therefore, you don't take your past bondage and baggage into your next relationship. Now, obviously, nothing that I say in these videos are like concrete blueprints, how to do, you know, insert topic. Everything that I say is really just based on my experience and what I've learned, like what God has shown me and revealed to me in my own life. I will share with you. I remember Megan Good. You guys know Megan Good? So I was watching an interview with her because obviously, you know, her husband is a pastor, and I knew Megan Good from a bunch of movies. I loved her as an actress. The biggest thing that put them on the map was the fact that they remained celibate before marriage, and that was a huge thing because everyone was like, what, Megan Good? Like I guess people didn't know that she was Christian, I don't know what. And she said something. She said she would just go through so much heartbreak. She had so many toxic relationships. She said that it's almost as if every relationship that ended just gave her more baggage, and the baggage just kind of like built up and built up and built up until she couldn't take it anymore. And she said she made a prayer to God, and she said, God, like I just want you to heal me. Like I'm gonna do I can't remember exactly what the prayer was, but I think it was something like, I'll do it your way, just take this baggage from me. The reason why I bring up that story is the key phrase of the baggage. And it's so crazy. when she got to the lowest of low, to the point where she just said, God, I have to give this to you and do things your way, that turned things in her life, because now God was able to take the scales off her eyes of where love comes from and what love means and who love comes from, and just begin to love on Megan and just begin to just kind of transform her heart. And so already prior to even meeting her husband, that baggage was beginning to kind of, how you say, like disappear, like go away and unpack. And she even said, even meeting her husband, the process wasn't over. There's still, like, he's, as a husband, he's still helping her kind of unpack that baggage and break down walls and break down barriers. Me, I would think about, I haven't been in many relationships, but the relationships that I've been in, I had to kind of look back on him and be like, wow, like everything that I feel now is baggage from that relationship. And it's not so much regarding the other person, you know, it's about me. Like I look back on my relationship with my ex and I'm like, wow, I can see how God utilized that relationship to teach me about myself. Because as amazing and kind and awesome as I can be, I can also be very moody, and not just regular moody. I would always have a little breakdown. So if I didn't like how something was going, or I got overwhelmed in the relationship, I would just pop off. I would just start blaming him for things. I would just be like, this is this and that is that. I would always throw it in his face. Well, we should just break up then, since it's not whatever, like we should just break up. I wasn't self-reflecting enough to realize that, hey, this is an issue that's coming from me. And again, it's not that I was the only one with issues, but this video is more focused on me, because I'm trying to get you guys to understand that one of the things that God showed me was the fact that you want the perfect guy, but what about you? Like, you have this idea of what you want in a guy, but do you have an idea of what he might want from you? And I never thought about that. I never thought about myself. I never thought about working on myself. But then I was like, but wait a minute, but you can be selfish, and you can be bossy, and you can think you know it all, and you can be conceited, and you can be condescending, and you can be, and I was listing all these things, and I was like, I want my husband to be this, this, and this. I want him to be kind and passionate and all this stuff. But what am I gonna do about, like, why does he want a selfish person? Does he, you know? Testimonies like that really demonstrated to me what it means, what it truly means to say that God will heal you before a relationship. I do not think that you will be perfect by the time your husband or wife comes. I don't believe in that. Like Megan and her husband, I believe that the process continues. And I wanted that for myself. It's like I said, the scales came off my eyes. All this time I was holding on to the idea of a guy, of a man, making me whole, completing me, you know, filling in that gap that I felt in my life. And all that time God was saying, no, that's not what I created the relationship to be. I make things whole. You just complement each other. I never thought of a husband complimenting me. I thought of a husband as completing me. And I had to let go of the idea of him completing me, because I was just, everything around me was about, you're my everything, and I can't live my life without you, and all these things. And I would say, okay, well, that's love then. That's what's around me. So that's how I defined love. And I realized, wait, that's earthly love. Like, that's not how God intended it to be at all. And the reason why that's so important is because the Bible says it. The Bible says, you know, don't get accustomed to the pattern of this world. You know, the Bible says that his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. So the way that he does stuff is not the way that the world does stuff. And I was like, oh, and the Bible says God is love. I made a habit of every situation that was wrong in a relationship saying, well, it's you. Well, it's clearly you, because I had a pride issue. When in reality, there were many things that went wrong in my relationships that it was like, no, that was me. That was me not being considerate. That was me being condescending. That was me thinking that I was better than you. That was me thinking that you were lucky to have me. And I had to realize that that pride, that vanity, I had to let that go, because I refuse to go into my next relationship thinking that I'm better than the next person. And you know, it's another thing that God is, sorry if this is going everywhere, but another thing that God showed me is, and he's continuing to show me this, so I don't fully grasp it yet, but that beautiful balance between being confident in who God created you to be, who you are, but also not being vain and conceited. I'm starting to understand what it means to not think that, oh, this guy is lucky to have me, like he's winning with me, but at the same time also not think, oh my gosh, like I'm just so lucky to have him, like oh gosh, oh wretched me, oh this is a blessing. It's like I can't and I don't anymore envision myself as holier than thou, or better than thou, or smarter than thou, or more equipped than thou, or more spiritually gifted than thou, because God humbled me real quick with that. God was like, oh, you think that you're more spiritually gifted than somebody else? And then I'll go through a dry season where I'm like, actually I need someone's help with this, like I need to go to somebody for this. And it's not even healing in regards to relationships, it's healing in regards to life situations, you know? When life is just tough, I don't know you, so I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what your past is or what your childhood has been, but I know that there are many people who, yes, have been abused sexually, emotionally, physically, by family members, by church members, but also people who have, you know, grown up just having to fight to survive, grown up just constantly every opportunity getting shut down before them, you know, working so hard and then things just not working out. That's something that someone would be healed from, because that impacts you emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, you know. It impacts your faith, and it impacts what you think of the world and what you think of people. So when I'm talking about healing, I'm not just talking about past relationships or even present ones. I'm talking about life, healing from life. God had showed me that all this time, Jazmin, you thought that a man would have helped you heal from your past, but that's not true. A man can't do that. A husband can't do that. I can only do that.